And we're back on another episode of Salient Points. This one's number 101. It's a special Valentine's edition, Dalan. I hope today, as this goes live on a Valentine's Day, I hope you didn't. I hope you remember to give your significant other some gifts, Dalan, or something. What did you give her?
Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this.
Okay, if it's too delicate, then don't do it. All right, just if it's if it's friendly.
Now the question is it too spicy?
Oh damn, man! All right, look, I'm calling Macias.
It's Valentine's Day.
Uncalled for. This is a two-man crew, as you can see. Dale's off on an adventure. He's been a little quiet on the Twitter, so I'm kind of waiting to see if he's gonna throw something. But hey, I like that though. I like a man that says, F social media, I'm going on a trip. So I kind of like that. But I see him retweeting. I see you, Dale, retweeting random stuff out there. But anyways, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what this week, Dalan?
The master of Power Ranger mascots.
Power Ranger mascots. Carlos Macias, the master of Power Ranger mascots. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, no Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel, so
it's a two-man job today.
We'll see how these things come out. I usually do the video. I don't do too much on the video, but he definitely has a nice little audio output out there. But look, we'll get right into it, Dalan. The first thing that we have on here for the show is, of course, as I've been doing for the last... Well, actually, no. This week, we actually have a comment from Jet, who you've doxed a few episodes ago. We don't need to say it again. We could just let it know that if you go back...
He is no longer here.
All right, so Jed is no longer doxxed, but he did say, resident Harry Potter fan is me, Huffle Tough. And he put in a little arm emoji, right? So I look, I got no stake to claim to fame or anything, whatever you want to say, Dalan, as far as this is concerned. What do you have to say to your man, Jet?
Yes, you're correct that you are a resident Harry Potter aficionado. Why aren't you on the chat with us?
That's true.
Jet, where's your mic? Be here. You got a laptop. I know you do.
You gotta hit him up. But I will say, look, because Dale and Luis are really the bigger Harry Potter fans, so we won't have too much Harry Potter fans.
No, Carlos. Compared to Jet, nah.
Okay, well, that's fine. No, but you didn't even hear what I said. They are not there to defend themselves, right? But so Dale and Lee's the resident Harry Potter fans, but we'll hear from them soon enough. The next thing, of course, I did put up a survey. I've been doing it once a week. Every time we kind of like, let me see if I can keep it a little spicy or not. But maybe I might have kept it too spicy this last time, Dylan. I put up a poll on Twitter saying, what's the greatest game of all time? And the only options was Metroid Prime. So Metroid Prime. Prime. Guess what, Dylan? When you do some crazy wackiness like that, no one responds. There was 0 votes. There's like,
it's like, this poll is broken. I'm not gonna touch it.
There's a whole bunch of views that I witnessed. There's a whole bunch of views, but no votes. So I'm like, whatever. But we did get a response from Get 'em Ether. His name is Malo on there. I don't know if he wants us to dog some, Dalan, but you know this man personally. He said he didn't vote, so thank you for not voting, Malo. But he did say, hey, Hogwarts Legacy, according to the internet, is the greatest game of all time. I will say this to Malo, don't be a prisoner of the moment, man. Like, it's that's the hotness right now. But Metroid
Don't let them change you.
Don't let them change you. Also, where's my copy of Ratchet and Clank, though, Dylan, that you let this man borrow? All right, I please to return.
I told you I have it. It's in my abode as we speak. Nice. Somewhere. I gotta look for it.
All right. Well, look.
Right now, the ball is in my court.
It's my game, man. I want my frictionless gaming back. Even though I platinumed it, I probably won't touch it.
Are you gonna play it again?
Look, I'm not gonna answer that because then you're gonna be like, I don't need to return it. No, you please do.
Man, you literally just said I'm not gonna touch it as I was asking the question.
You know what I'm saying? So look, we'll get into the headline real quick. Last week we had a bunch of Nintendo news. One of the big things out of Nintendo, of course, is that they basically said we're not making a new Nintendo Switch anytime soon. I'll read out a tweet from VGC. They said Nintendo has said it's not planning to introduce Switch hardware or software price cuts as its console business enters end quote unquote uncharted territory. Instead, it plans to grow Switch's 122 million install base with quote unquote both new and classic titles. So it didn't say it exactly on this, but there's another quote that I saw from Nintendo that they were basically like, Nah, we're look, we got new. Well, they said here, right? They new and classic titles. That's what we're working on. That's what we're working on. Don't worry about a new hardware system. But just to kind of let it be known, Dalan, the Switch has sold 122.55 million. That's clearing the Game Boy and the PlayStation 4. So they're definitely not in no kind of hurry to give us a hardware update. It's a little upsetting to me, man, because the Swollet didn't give us hardware update. It just kind of gave us a prettier screen, which is looking a little tempting now with Metroid Prime Remastered being out there. But what do you think, Dylan? What do you think with Nintendo saying it's like, no, so you want a new hardware, huh? No, we're not giving it to you. We're giving you new games.
I think it's interesting that they gave a hard no on that one. And I'm like, you know what? If you guys keep buying them, we'll keep selling them the same way. Why fix what's not broken? Why fix what's not broken? By the way, little kids having their hands on these freaking Switches, they will get broken, and parents will continue to buy them.
Yeah,
that is the end of it.
Yeah,
kids will have their parents buy them so they can purposely break them just so you can get a new one.
Well, and I mean, look, they have so many different versions of this thing, right? So it's kind of like it's the same. Well, they're a little different, right? Because you have the Switch Lite, you have the Switch OLED edition, right? And then you have the original OG version, right? So Nintendo, all they have to do is just make a slight variation of one, right? Like it's like,
hey, Switch Lite is some BS. You cannot dock it. Switch OLED, it is. I don't think it's sold well enough to really care for the fact that you need a bigger docking station for it. Like the general Switch size that everybody has, or at least the majority has, is why would you need another Switch? Or at least until they actually make an HD Switch, but they're probably not going to. By the way, Carlos, I appreciate how you just skated by my previous comment. And on top of that, there's no one else here to rein me in. There's no one here to rein me in. I'm going to say something.
Hey, man. Damn, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. But I will say, yeah, I mean, look, as far as the variations on the console, they've been successful at this when it was just portable, right? And now they have a hybrid version that they're like in no hurry, man. But yeah, that Tears of the Kingdom and everything else. I mean, Pokemon, the last two that they made, it was just nasty though. That the way that it runs, they definitely need better hardware out there. I'm sure Zelda 2. Breath of the Wild 2, as I forget what the name is, Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom. You just said it.
It'll run just fine, but I'm a little concerned. And basically, Nintendo's like, don't even wait on it.
Hey, for these games that they're making, even though they announced that they're not going to be making a new system, I'm thinking to myself, are they making these games in higher resolution at all? Like, are they sticking with their 720 and 1080? And having it downscaled to 720 when you put it on the TV anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they eventually, I mean, they already have to, right? Like, just based on their own game, Pokemon is not running fine on it. There's obviously, like, you can only optimize so much, right? Until you're like, dude, we got to give them more juice. But obviously they're like, whatever, man, you'll keep buying it. The other thing is they're getting a little interesting, Dalan. So the new Tears of the Kingdom is going to be $70. There was a thing online where it was like 60 and then 70, and then basically Nintendo came and was like, it's going to be 70. So people asked them, the journalists of the world or whoever was asking, but they basically got them to say, well, we actually have the quote from VGC is that Nintendo said it's not going to be a trend, but it's actually going to be on a case-by-case basis whether there's $70. And you bet your hiney, Dalan. You bet your hiney that the Tears of the Kingdom, the Zelda game, is $70 because they're like, we justify it's a huge ass game. But Pikmin 4 will be $60. So they've already said that one's $60. So they're already kind of saying it's like, all right, look, it's $60 for this. Pikmin 4 will be $60, and that actually comes out July 21st, so that is coming out. But what do you think, Dalan? You gave a little heavy sigh there. Are you ready for the $70 Nintendo games?
I like how you kept your verbiage very, very Japanese Power Ranger there. You with your Super Sentai speak. You didn't want to curse. We appreciate it, I guess.
Gotcha.
Master of Super Sentai. That's what I was trying to say earlier. But in this particular case, having a game for Zelda be $70 after all this time, or even any Switch game for that matter, I'm thinking to myself, man, that better be like a 40-hour game.
Well,
Or it better have some really beautiful graphics to be worth it for $70. I understand that there's a lot of production that goes into it, inflation, people need to get paid more, but you're going to sell enough copies. You're going to be making millions of dollars.
especially
Even if
on
you,
Zelda. But
Especially on
you
Zelda.
do bring up a good point though, because Pikmin it's niche, man. They'll sell, right, but they're only gonna sell so much, and they're selling it at a lower price. Whereas, like, dude, Zelda, you're gonna make that up quickly.
You are gonna make
Quickly.
that up. You can sell it for less. You're just being greedy right now.
But
Nintendo, we see you.
Yeah.
We see you, Nintendo.
But for that $70, I think you were saying, like, it better be long. Dude, Tears of the Kingdom's gonna be long as hell, dude. It's gonna be Breath of the Wild, like, or longer, right?
Was Breath of the Wild a 40-hour game?
More? I'm pretty sure it was more, man. I'm
just talking about Critical Path. I don't mean like
no, I'm saying Critical Path.
I don't
like
mean
40.
jump off the plateau and go straight to the boss.
Yeah.
I mean like go straight from dungeon to dungeon real quick, just doing the main quest and then getting to the boss.
Yeah, I think
is that 40 hours?
For me, it was because I think I dropped like 25 hours, and I was like just beat two of the four. Right, there's like two of the big like four.
Yeah, it was 4.
Yeah, so that's definitely, at least for me, anyways, at least a 40-hour game. I still have to go back. I have a deadline, man. I have a deadline.
You have not beaten it.
I have not beaten it. But look,
just say it.
I've been saying it, dude. It's been on wax. It's been on wax that I haven't beaten Breath of the Wild. But hey, look, we'll talk about the Nintendo Direct. You said you got through the whole thing, right? The biggest thing, of course, for me, I don't know if you agree, and I don't know if the people that I polled agree either, right? But the biggest thing for the Nintendo Direct was definitely Metroid Prime Remastered. They obviously added new dual stick controls. The digital is out that day when the Nintendo Direct popped up. Physical out February 22nd, but I've been calling around GameStop, and they're talking about like, no, it's gonna be available this week. So that's why I'm not gonna have any impressions just yet. Next week, I hope I do. But because I'm hyped, dude. To me, this is the greatest game of all time. I think I've mentioned it before. But I'm ready for that. I'm gonna keep calling GameStop, and I hate GameStop, man. I hate calling them. I hate showing up in the store. I don't want to have any interaction. But this week it's gonna be nothing but calling the store. Do you have it? Do you have it? Can I pre-order? Because I called and they said you can't even pre-order. You could pre-order for like 2 days, and then right now you can't. You actively can't right now. But there was one thing that, of course, Steven Totillo did say that was kind of a little funny to me. They said there was an Xbox Shadow Drop Hi-Fi Rush during their presentation about a week ago, and then Nintendo's Shadow Drop is Metroid Prime Remastered. What's going to be PlayStation's Shadow Drop when they do? We're hearing that by the end of this month, PlayStation is going to have another state of play. So the ball is in your court, PlayStation. What do you think about this Metroid Prime Remastered, though, specifically, Dan? I guess before we get to what else was that Nintendo.
You're very much in love with this Metroid Prime Remastered, but dude, I was like, all right, we're gonna get better controls, and I'm gonna be able to get through this game properly. And then I was like, all right, since you're gonna do part 1. I'm waiting for part 2 and 3 so we can have our Metroid Prime trilogy like they did before. However, I believe that there was news where they were like, we might drop the 2 games, but they're not really gonna be remastered.
Well, we do have it. We do have it for the quick news. Well, I'll bring it up, Dale. Let me just give me a quick second here. But it is in the quick news is that Jeff Grubb did say that Prime 2 and 3 should be coming, but not fully remastered. So it's gonna be a little upsetting. I do have the trilogy version on the Wii U. On the Wii U.
GameCube. Yeah, but on the Wii U, did it come out on Wii U?
No, on the Wii, the trilogy came out on the Wii, but the Wii U can play, Wii games. So if what they're telling me, if what they're telling me that these are not fully remastered 2 and 3, it's like I already have them not fully remastered, so I might just go back to those, right? But did you play through all of them, Dalan, or no?
I played through most of the first one, never got around to the second one. I did a lot in the first one, and even with its janky controls, it was an extremely fun game for me. Hey, man, I played it on the original system that it was meant for, so the controls were definitely janky. There was no doubt about that.
They were smooth, but they were not standard controls for sure. And they were very much like, this is an adventure shooter, so don't play it like a shooter. And that's my mentality, Dalan. I was like, it's not a shooter, so I'm going to play it. But yes, it does definitely take a little bit of getting used to, because you sit down and try to play, it's like, this is not time splitters at all. So I get that, right? But once you get into the controls, and look, now they updated it to where it's like, makes it a little more standard, right? Where
and you can switch it.
There you go. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm gonna be playing that sometime this week. I hope GameStop gets their order in. The other big thing that came out of the Direct is that Nintendo is adding to their, well, they're being Nintendo. Nintendo's being Nintendo, right, Dalan? But they announced that
they're trying to do it,
but that they're gonna have Game Boy expansions, right, or Game Boy, as like a download store or whatever, and a Game Boy Advance, which is kind of part of the subscription of Nintendo Online Basic, which is the Game Boy. But if you want that good Game Boy Advance, you need to buy the $50 expansion thing, right? But I look, it's a little controversial, Dalan, but I think these are not as big of a deal. They're as big of a deal as if people never downloaded anything. But if you downloaded things
about your emulations
of the illicit manner, I won't say I won't say but people have played a lot of these games already, right? So it's kind of like one of those things like, well, that's cool. But I'm still pretty sure that a lot of people, quote unquote, honest people, are happy about this. That for GBA, they did confirm as far as the expansion pack, Super Mario Advance 4, WarioWare Inc., Kuru Kareen, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario and Luigi SS, Zelda Minish Cap. For Game Boy, they confirmed Tetris, Super Mario Land, Link's Awakening DX, Gargoyle's Quest, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, Metroid 2, Wario Land 3, Kirby's Dreamland. And you get a bunch of filters as well, right? Like Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color filters, so that's kind of cool. And Steven Totillo did ask, he said he asked Nintendo if we should expect new Game Boy Advance games each month. The answer is, quote, there is no set schedule for new releases, but each collection will continue to grow. So it's like a little wishy-washy nonsense, right? I'm pretty sure it's going to be like the N64 stuff and the Genesis stuff, right? But what do you think, Dalan? Are you of the same mindset that people have played these before, or no? Or you think there's still a big appeal to having it on your Switch?
The appeal in this particular case is there's the nostalgia for the adults, but for the adults who have played emulators and have kids, those kids never touch those emulators, but they might have touched their Switch. And this will really give them a chance to understand where the parents are coming from with their enjoyment of some of these games. Because I'll tell you right now, I would love to play the Minish Cap. I didn't have the system at the time to be even able to play that. I never got through all of Zelda DX. Honestly, the only games I'm even excited about for the Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, are the Zelda games. After that, maybe Kirby. And I know for the Game Boy Advanced, they're talking about other games being released later. They actually talked about the Mega Man Rockman EXE. They're talking about a whole collection of that coming out, and I am down for that. That would be a good reason for me to even get this $50 purchase. I don't need to, but I could do it, legally. I could be on the up and up this time. I think it's only $30 a year for one system.
No,
I could do that.
No.
Oh no, it's $50.
Yeah, no. I tried recently for GoldenEye, right? Because I was like, look, I know it's on Game Pass, but I kind of want to try. That's kind of the biggest thing on these, though, right? Is that you can play online. So if there's a game that's out there, because look, for me, it's going to be GoldenEye and it's going to be Pokemon Puzzle League, Dalan, that I want to battle you at. But so I looked it up for GoldenEye. I was like, yeah, I could get a month or what. It's like, no, $50, and we want it now. We don't want to.
You have to go the whole year.
The whole $50, you need to put it down. They know what they're doing, dude. Nintendo knows what they're doing. It's like, oh, we know you just want to play GoldenEye real quick.
Did you get it?
No, but if you tell me, Dalan, if you tell me that you are gonna drop the 50, just give me a little bit of time to scrounge up some change for those 50.
All right, I'm gonna give you a heads up right now. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday, I'm gonna be picking it up.
$50 whole, huh, Dalan? You're ready.
$50 whole,
even without the Mega Man yet. Even without the Mega Man collection.
Even without the Mega Man yet. I mean, I'll have my online gameplay. I'll be able to play the new Super Mario Kart 8 levels, and
that's true. Right?
Yeah. So I'll still have some stuff in the meantime, including Nintendo 64 games that I haven't played in quite some time. So it's starting to get to the point where it might be worth it to have it.
Where it's undeniable.
Because it's $150 price for a whole year, and you're getting a bunch of stuff right away. If I was trying to get this when it first dropped, I'm like, No.
What are you
No,
giving
that
me?
was not worth it at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're
But now they got enough stuff.
so they're fine making it a little interesting, right? So we'll get to the rest of the stuff. And of course, one of the biggest things, right, Dalan, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, still coming out May 12th. I don't know if these people are out there waiting for a delay, which is possible, but I don't think Breath of the Wild got a delay, right? It came day and date. The Switch is coming out in March. This is coming out in March as well.
Hey,
right?
man,
So
this game might already be done. And plus,
Yeah.
they already have a template from Breath of the Wild that they
Yeah.
just expanded on. So they could easily churn these games out, kind of like they did, what was it, Ocarina of Time? I think it was like 1 year later, they launched, what was it called? What was the one where Link was a kid? It was the one immediately after that with the Moon Kid and stuff like
Link's Awakening or no?
No.
Oh, Majora's Mask. Talk about
Majora's Mask.
Yeah,
It came
that
out
was
the
26.
next year.
Yeah.
And they did their thing. And
I
then
don't
they
think
came out with another game.
it wasn't the same. It was 2 years, but I get your point. It was a very quick turnaround. It was like 2
Yeah,
years.
they could
between
very
that.
easily have a turnaround for that.
Yeah.
And then they took that template, came out with the Twilight Princess, but they expanded on that.
No, I think no, I don't. Okay, Dylan, I'll give you the Ocarina of Time. Yes, that was like the same blocky
I'm
ass.
not saying that
Twilight Princess. No, it was no, man.
No,
come on,
they really revamped it for Twilight
They
Princess.
created a whole new system. But you have a point for this. For this, yes, the Breath of the Wild. They're kind of building it on top of the Breath of the Wild. But even so, man, it's taking them 6 years? Yeah, about 6 years to finally like this is coming out. So.
You were skeptic about God of War Ragnarok coming out on time. You really think you're gonna have the same issue here?
But we deserve to. It needed a skepticism. But for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I'm just a little more surprised, right? That people are on the internet like, yeah, it's still coming out. A quick little tidbit on it, Dalan. It's gonna be the largest file size of a Nintendo game. So if you guys are trying to download it on your system, it might be a little rough, right?
Hey, make sure you have one of those little SD cards.
Now, Dalan, I will say this. So I'm kind of on blackout because I'm like, I just wanted to be a fresh experience. But you see some of the stuff on Twitter, right? But people are mentioning that this kind of reminds them of Banjo-Kazooie, like nuts and bolts. Did you ever play that?
Nope.
You never played that? Okay, but there's like maybe some building aspects to it, or you saw the whole direct, right? So
I did actually see videos for Nuts and Bolts, so I actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where Banjo you had to build a car and you're driving around the place.
Does it look like we're gonna have to do that for Tears of the Kingdom?
I hope not, because that was actually the aspect of the game that killed Banjo-Kazooie at the time.
Well, but from what you saw from Tears of the Kingdom, like I said, I'm on blackout. From what you saw, Tears of the Kingdom, we're gonna be building little?
Okay. I will say this: I already knew Tears of the Kingdom was coming out, and I did not watch it on Nintendo Direct. I had only watched the original trailer. I skipped that one.
Oh, damn. Okay, so somebody's gonna have to take the bullet. Maybe Luis, maybe Dale.
No,
and tell
we're
us
not taking the bullet for that.
If we should be concerned, we're definitely on blackout. But I don't like that, man. I don't like all that building stuff. But I do like how Rare came out. I was like, oh, if you guys are up for this type of gameplay, you can see it in Nuts and Bolts, whatever. I was like, ooh. Okay, it's a little spicy. I like it. So we're gonna roll through some of these, Dylan. We're just kind of quickly mention. They also announced Professor Layton in the New World of Steam. Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD remaster confirmed. Baten Kaitos. There you go. It's coming out summer 2020. Dalan, I said what I said. The next thing is Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Magolor Epilogue. These names, dude, they're out of control. Kirby demo came out actually during the day of the Direct. Did you get a chance to mess with that demo, Dan? The Kirby Return
I did not mess with the demo, but I actually did watch this particular trailer. So if you don't remember, in the original Kirby's Dream Land, it was actually a character that ended up helping you while you were actually going through the game, and he ended up losing his powers. So this is actually an epilogue to Return to Dreamland. So it's actually, the Magolor thing is actually taking place after Dreamland.
Okay.
But before Return to Dreamland, so it's the in-between story.
I didn't know you had so much idea of this Kirby lore, man, but I appreciate it, I guess. Well, how about this? Are you hyped for it? You gonna pick it up from what you saw, or?
I need to go back and play Kirby's Dreamland again, man.
I didn't. Oh,
hey, $50 on the Switch. Let's play Kirby.
There you go, man. Damn, dude, I can't believe it, man. I can't believe we're actually being convinced to get the expansion. But look, they finally added enough, though, right? They finally almost, to me, even it's almost enough, right?
It's a little short, but enough for me.
Dalan, we're gonna get down with Pokemon Puzzle League, man. I'm ready. My body is ready.
You're just waiting for that.
I very much am. Advance Wars finally coming April 21st after they ripped it from some young girl's hands and said, you can't play this right now. Here's your refund. And she
not
said,
just her hands. They ripped it from her personal network. They reached into her bits and just took it. Man. And she wasn't ready.
Nintendo's got no shame, dude. Nintendo's got no shame. Well, look. It's finally coming out April 21st. I hope they better find that child that they ripped it from her hands and like, here's a free copy. You're welcome. They better, man. They were able to get it to her network. They know where she is and everything else.
They were all up in her bandwidth, making it melt.
So they better do something to make that shit up, man, because that's messed up. By the way, that's a learning experience, dude. If you get a game and it just like doesn't come out, turn your network off and beat the game, play it, because eventually you're gonna get on the internet, right? But Dalan, what do you think, man? That's finally coming out, or was that it? Just they're finally.
Hey, man. Well, I know there was a whole ripping it from her game thing, but it's the fact that we have been waiting for this. But I think part of the reason it got delayed was because of the whole Ukraine situation, and we've just been waiting this whole time. Online, Advance Wars, multiplayer maps. I'm ready to kill you, Jeremy Lowe, and anybody else who wants it.
All right, man.
Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it.
A couple more games. We Love Katamari Reroll Plus Royal Reverie is out June 2nd. Octopath Traveler 2 demo dropped the day of the Nintendo Direct out there. So if you guys are interested in that, the next thing I have on the rundown, which is kind of funny, so I'm gonna mention it. I put in the rundown Disney Illusion Island, July 28th. Dalan, do you want to talk about it? And what did you put on this rundown, Dalan?
Hell no.
Damn. And you talked about it.
Hell no.
And you talked about it right there. Just by you saying you don't want to talk about it.
Hell no.
But that's coming out if you guys are interested.
You forced my hand, sir.
The next thing, Splatoon 3 expansion pass is going to include 2 waves of content. Wave 1 is Inkopolis? Help me with this, Nancy. I'm actually asking you. Inkopolis. Spring 2023. And then there's going to be a Splatoon 3 expansion pass. It's going to be called Side Order for Wave 2. So I'm kind of like, dude, if they do, based on what I've been playing on Splatoon 2 with the Octo expansion, I'm kind of down, man. I got to get to Splatoon 3, but I'm almost there. I am almost there.
It's like more story then, right? Is that what it's like?
Kind of.
Or is it going to be just more multiplayer maps?
Well, if it's anything like Splatoon 2, it's more like campaign levels. One of these. I think one of these is definitely going to be campaign levels, which I like, man. Those are nice levels that they throw on there. So that's what I'm kind of hyped about. Because multiplayer, I don't really get into it, right? But if they do it anything like they did with Splatoon 2, definitely be excited. Definitely be to the excite. All right, I'll say that. Deca Police from Level 5 is coming out. Tron Identity, it will be out on Switch this April. This one you wanted to mention, Dan. How are you feeling about this? What's got you hyped about this in particular?
The fact that I am a fan of Tron. I've been a fan of Tron since 1985. Okay? I watched the first Tron, and it was just like my movie of the freaking year at the time.
What year were you born,
aside from Back to the Future. Don't worry about that, Carl.
I feel like 85, you were like 0 years old.
I was born in I was born in 85.
All right, well, there you go. But you've been hyped. Yeah.
No, but I saw the movie years later, and I was still a fan, regardless if it was 7 or 8 years after the movie actually dropped. I watched the Disney made like CG 3D cartoon that came out. I played all the little extra games that you could find on the PC. You just had a line going across the grid, just trying not to crash into people. And that was me. I was just playing that game. I even sent you the picture of the original Tron cabinet when I was up here at one of my establishments in the mountain, because I'm just a fan of Tron.
Okay, but from what you saw from this, did they show you
from
much?
What I saw with this, you give me light cycles, take my money.
All right, Dalan. Hey, please to have my money is what Dalan's saying on Tron. It's out soon, Dalan. April. You'll be into it, right?
Yes. I will have that in my hot little hand.
The next thing is, so I'm looking forward to those impressions of that, Dalan. Ghost Trick, it will be out this summer. The other thing as well is Dead Cells Castlevania DLC is out March 6th. I don't know if they had been precise about the date or not, Dalan. But now that we know, you're grabbing it. I'm assuming this is your jam.
They were not precise about it, but this will be the one DLC that will bring me back to Dead Cells, because they had Dead Cells, whatever the wacky mania mode that they had, and that was an excellent free update that they had. I'm not even sure if this is paid DLC, but if it is, hopefully it's not too much.
Yeah, I think so. Well, you're gonna buy it either way, man. What other Castlevania related things or Castlevania proper are you playing, man? This is it.
The question is, when will be the next time another Castlevania comes out? And Konami, you're effing up. And Dead Cells is bringing it back for you.
Those guys are worried about if they're gonna make it out of this month, man. Konami is having a hard time.
It's I haven't heard that name in a minute. Konami, what are you doing out there in the world? Working on the next Castlevania series? Maybe.
No,
don't know.
They're not.
No, I'm talking about the animated series. That was their biggest thing recently.
Potentially. A couple more things that they announced from the Nintendo. It was kind of packed, right? It was a nice little direct. It wasn't too bad. The other thing, Samba de Amigo Party Central is out this summer. I never played the original on Dreamcast, so I'm kind of down to
There's an original?
Yeah. Okay, Dalan. Yeah, there's a damn. The internet is going to throw stuff at the screen right now. They're like, what does he mean he doesn't know about Samba de Amigo? But yes, there's an original. It came out on the Dreamcast. I didn't get a chance to play it, and I'm pretty sure it was on the arcade as well. You know what? They might have. Remember they had that moment in time where they ported a whole bunch of stuff to the GameCube. I think there might be a Samba de Amigo on the GameCube, but
you're talking about when they brought Knights over and stuff like that?
They brought all kinds of stuff, dude. Like Sonic Adventure DX and all kinds of stuff.
I remember they did that.
Sega was we're third party now. Everybody can have everything. Now it's the time.
It's to survive, we must sell.
Exactly. That's Konami's situation. Samba de Amigo Party Central is out this summer. Xenoblade, and I believe it's coming out to other systems. I should have kind of double checked, but I think it's coming out for other systems, not just the Switch.
I don't really know what it is, so whatever.
And Xenoblade Chronicles 3, an expansion pass, is coming out, and that was pretty much for the Nintendo Direct. We'll go into quick takes real quick. The original Metroid Prime developers are missing from the credits, apparently, and this is a quote from Steven Totillo. He was interviewing Jack Matthews, who was one of the developers on the game. He said, quote, "When my son plays Metroid Prime on the Switch for the first time, the fact that he won't see me and my colleagues named in the credits as the original creators is a punch in the gut." We have, I believe, talked about this a little bit in the past, right, Dan? I think we've talked about it with Luis, and it kind of sucks because you work on these things for years and years and years, right? And sometimes they don't even come out for them to just scrap it. So imagine one of these, by pure miracle, it actually launches and releases, and then 20 years later they re-release and they're like, my name is not on here. That's cool. That's great.
They're taking away most of the creators. That's a straight kick to the nuts. Because after you worked on one project for 3-4 years, and then later on they're like, let's retcon you from the history books. Why?
It's a little upsetting, but
they could have did some honorable mentions or some thanks at the bottom of the credits or something. But nah, man.
But I like how you'll give them a chance of honorable mentions for the mans that were worked on the game originally. Let's put them in the thanks. But at least they could do that, right? At least,
at least in the credits, do a whole section of original creators. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so potentially Nintendo could update that, but I don't think they ever do, right? I think these guys launch the game and they're like, whatever.
It would cost them maybe $2 for somebody to add extra credits to the end of the game.
I don't know if it costs that much. I'm sure there's a process. If Luis was here, we would know. But he's not.
Hey, man, hit him up, Luis. Why aren't you here?
No, Luis is he's working, man. That man is working. Next thing, of course, is Jeff Grubb. He did, I mentioned earlier, there's going to be, Jeff Grubb says there's going to be a smaller, quote-unquote, low-key Sony State of Play by the end of February. He basically said that we're going to get the big things at E3, right, later next year. Or not at E3, because remember, they canceled. They're not a part of that. But around E3 time, right? They'll take advantage of the marketing, just won't be a part of it directly. And also Xbox, really quickly, they confirmed that Game Pass leads to quote unquote decline in sales. And my response to that is, No shit, man.
No
Of course
shit.
it does. Of course it does, right? But it's kind of funny, right? That they'll say it and it's like confirming. It's like there's a decline in sales. It's like, but that's not that's not their game plan, right? Their game plan is get these guys on the subscriptions, like Nintendo with that $50 expansion pass that were this close, Dalan, of getting. That's really what they're trying to do.
But but the huge difference between the Nintendo Game Pass and the Xbox Game Pass is the fact that the Xbox Game Pass will actually get people to say, I need an Xbox. I need an Xbox. For the Nintendo, it's like, if you don't have the Nintendo Switch and they're talking about getting their Nintendo Game Pass, you're like, I can live without that.
I'm going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom for the next 7 months, so I don't...
I'll tell you what, I got an Xbox. Why do I need that?
Yeah, that's actually a fair point, Dalan. I don't give you too much credit around here, but that one is a decent point. I like it. Because, yes, it really is, right? Like a Game Pass, you look at like PlayStation, damn, but I got to buy these games. They're incredible, but I got to buy every single game. Game Pass, it's an Xbox, so I get all my games.
It's a bunch of day one games.
Day one releases. There you go. But yeah, of course, there's a decline in sales, man. I know we mentioned it before. How was it The Quarry, our runner-up for Game of the Year, by the way, our runner-up for Game of the Year last year, 2022. We got comms. They, from what I understand, is they sold like 20,000 copies on Xbox, man. Whereas on PlayStation, actually, I don't know how much, but I would assume, or I think I maybe heard a couple million copies out there. But 20,000 copies, dude, on Xbox, are like a low number. Of course. Yeah.
It is a matter of, even though the sales for the actual games are low, the number of users on the Xbox itself is high. So it's high enough to actually say, all right, after we're done getting people to Xbox, then we could work on selling games again.
I don't know. So it's not gonna work. No,
I don't think they're not going to keep doing that day one. Yeah, they're not going to keep doing all the AAA games day one on the Xbox Game Pass. At some point, they will trickle that down.
No,
and you will see, they will shadow that stuff into your life.
I'm down to bet on it, but it's not going to happen, dude. They've already opened the floodgates. It's like what is it called when you open Pandora's box? They're still closing that box, dude. It's like
once it's open, there's no closing.
Yeah, no.
You've opened the can of worms. That's it.
I think the only way that would happen is if like Sony completely like shits the bed, dude. Like like a PlayStation 3 sort of fumble, dude. Like a PlayStation 3 era, and like I think they're a little too smart for that now. They're just a little too smart for that, dude. And it's for that to happen, and then Microsoft could be like, well, we are the more attractive console. Here's a Game Pass, but still, please buy Halo again. Please buy Gears again. But we'll see. I seriously doubt it, Dalan. They've kind of gone down this path. It's a path that they've gone down too far at this point. But the other thing that they have, Dead Space hasn't gone down too far at this point. That was sort of a segue, I believe. Dead Space is the best-selling new video game in the U.S. for January. Dalan, are you surprised? What else do we have in January? Oh, Forspoken, by the way. And
it's like, what else came out in January?
Yeah.
The game that I waited for years, and then Dead Space just dropped in and said, no, we're going to have a nice little blast radius for you, and you're going to fuck it up. Forspoken, apparently, especially for you, Forspoken was a game to barely get through.
I got through it, man. I sent it back. I stopped lying to GameFly, and I just sent it back.
No, we'll come back to that. Don't overdo it. You'll talk about it later.
But Dead Space, what do you think about Dead Space?
I am not surprised. I'm glad that they remastered it. I can't even remember the year that the original Dead Space came out. I think it was like 2007. 08? Yeah, it came out in 08. We're in 2024. What is that? 16 years.
Yeah.
And you got plenty of kids out there that are 15 years old. They weren't around when that game launched. I mean, you got plenty of people that are 21 years old. They were 5 when that game came out, and their parents at that time were like, no, that game's too scary for my kid. You can't play that game.
Yeah.
We're in 2024, and they're like, let's remake this game and scare the shit out of these kids.
Yeah, well, we're in 2023, Dalan, but that's fine.
But whatever. I've seen. You know what? You don't need to be correcting me.
But look,
you're right, but I don't like it.
But look, Dead Space.
Hold on, wait. Last.
There's a lot of story there, Dalan. There's a lot of backstory. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Damn, I didn't forget what I was gonna
Look,
say.
I'll say it real quick. I'll say it real quick and then see if you come back to your point. But it's nice to see that Dead Space remake still or Dead Space still has that much clout or that much like hype for it, right? That people are like, I want to play this. It looks amazing. But it's one of those things like you mentioned how it's been so long, right? And I remember when this got announced, I was like, damn, they're gonna remake it. Then it's just come out, and then you look it up. You look at the release date, 2008. Damn, it's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah, okay, you guys can remake that. Did you remember your point, Dalan, before we go to the next thing?
I don't remember my point, but with the success of part 1, I really hope that the company comes back and decides to make part 2 because that was the better game.
Oh, for sure, dude. Dead Space 2 was definitely the one. Right, and when they were giving away like older titles, I think Steam was giving away with pre-orders of this Dead Space remake. They were giving away Dead Space 2. So Dead Space
I'm pretty
2
sure it was also on the Xbox Game Pass for quite some time.
I'm not sure. Maybe, possibly, because EA with their EA Game Pass, so potentially, yeah. I don't know. I gotta check. I gotta double check that, but you might be right. Next thing on here, Sonic Frontiers sells 2.9 million worldwide. I don't know if that's a lot for a Sonic game. It feels like a lot though, right? It feels like a lot. Yeah.
Well, the thing about that is the previous Sonic games definitely didn't hit those numbers. I mean, the closest one, it might have even exceeded that was Sonic Colors. Because Sonic Colors was actually an okay game. But I said it before, Sonic has Sonic issues. You will have like a whole slew of terrible Sonic games and then one good one. And then a slew of terrible Sonic games and then one good one.
Yeah, and you know what? You did play Sonic Frontiers. There's 2D levels in that because the director said that you expect more 2D Sonics in the future. He didn't say Sonic Frontiers, but maybe another Sonic Frontiers, but
there was Sonic Mania that came out before that.
No, and Sonic Frontiers. And Sonic Frontiers was a 2D.
I understand.
You don't need to go through a 10-minute story, Dylan, to answer the question.
I'm not going through a 10-minute story. All right. It didn't actually go into 2D, but it was side-scrolling parts. Okay. Like, you'll just jump on an obstacle course. You'll jump on one of their little obstacle courses, and the camera will suddenly shift and lock to a side-scrolling session.
Okay, I see. Okay,
yeah,
so we should expect a little bit more. But look, Sonic Frontiers 2, you think they could kind of improve on it? I mean, there's a difference between, like, say, a God of War sold like 11 million copies in 3 months, but they spend a lot of money. Did they spend a lot of money in Sonic Frontiers? I mean, I'm sure they had to spend something. But did they,
I'm gonna say they actually did a pretty damn good job with this particular Sonic. So it felt like they actually put some money into it. But hey, I gotta kind of agree with the creator where he said you guys don't understand.
Oh, okay. All of a sudden, it comes out. So it comes.
No, it is one of those things that you have to have played the game because when you look at the trailer, it honestly does not do the game justice.
Okay.
And when the levels build, the place is full up, and there's a lot of shit happening suddenly.
Damn.
I'll say this:
it comes out.
I'll say this: they put some random shit in it that I'm like, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, well, that's just me in every single game, dude. Like, I'm not. What's the critical path? But hey, look, we're happy for them. The game. I don't remember in recent times them telling us how much a Sonic game has sold. So I'm guessing these are good numbers. And if they make a sequel, hopefully they clean up these things that you don't want to do. Dan, maybe you want to do them in the next game, right?
Hey, they did some weird Starfall thing that made no fucking sense.
All right, there you go. Starfall.com. Dead Island 2 is coming a week early. April 21st. I think the 4 means April. April 21st is a week. It's a week before The Last Jedi or not, too, right? Because what's the name of the new one, Dalen? The new Jedi game.
Survivor.
There you go. So Jedi Survivor. We'll see if he survives. But definitely, they're kind of. It's a good thing that Dead Island 2 is coming out a week early, right? So it gives you kind of a little spacing, right? So they don't cannibalize each other's sales. And the next thing we have on here is that Hogwarts Legacy sold a whole bunch of stuff. I have a quote from Christopher Dring, who's the head of GameIndustry.biz. He said, Hogwarts Legacy is the biggest Harry Potter game launch of all time in the UK, ending the record held by 2001's Philosopher's Stone. Sales are 64% higher. This is just physical sales, so the actual gap will be more significant. Philosopher's Stone didn't have any digital sales. So it's been a good while since we talked about a Harry Potter game, Dalen.
And I have a question for you.
Ahead.
Name another Harry Potter game.
I cannot, sir. I'm just going to say it straight up. I can't. I just can't. Did you play that, by the way? Did you play Philosopher's Stone or anything?
Hell no, I forgot it existed.
Damn, there you go. But I like how they had to go way back, though, right? Like, they had to go to 2001. It's so 64% higher than a 2001 game. But, I mean, look.
So you're telling me Lego Harry Potter didn't sell better than that?
Those, yeah, I don't know. And I did play through. You know what's funny? I don't know if I said it on Wax, but I might have said it off Wax, that I played through a bunch of Lego Harry Potter games for the Platinum, not ever seeing the movies, dude. Like, and I'm like on the third movie now, so I'm making slow progress. I'm being weird. I'm watching the movies before I play the game, even though everyone tells me, like, you probably don't need to watch all the movies
at all.
And I was like, all right, but whatever, I'm gonna watch them. Just
even the Universal Studios.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I
enough.
I walked around. But you know what? That's kind of watching the movies now that I think about it. It's like, oh, the times I got, I get it. This is why it's a big deal. Diagon Alley and these other things. This wand store. Now it makes sense. I have context for it. But I'm still watching the movies. They're all right. They're cool. The graphics are getting better. The acting's getting better. It's pretty terrible to start off with.
The actors are getting older.
Yeah. So the next thing on here is I just wanted to mention this real quick, but Bobby Kotick, who is the CEO of Activision Blizzard, he said he will. This is quote. Will absolutely remain, end quote, if the current acquisition doesn't go through with Microsoft. And the only thing I'll say on that day is like, what a way to threaten people, man. It's like, I will stay. Man.
He's like, I will keep this a frat party.
I will keep this a frat party if this doesn't go through. So I just want to mention that real quick. The other thing on here, I like how you just responded, LOL, Dalan. But Ubisoft broke the Division 2 so bad that it can't update it, and it actually will delay the new season. I know we haven't played this game in a good while, Dalan, but what's going on here, man?
I think I played it a significant amount more than you did, obviously.
I'm sure.
But with all the free updates that it did have come out, some of the other expansions that it ended up dropping, I've actually seen my other friend. I'm not going to dox him entirely. I'm just calling him Michael Dark in this case. Okay. But Michael, he still plays that game, and I'll see it every so often with him running through different parts of New York, going to DC because they actually expanded and gave new maps and going across the ocean.
He's really gotten into it. He's feeling that game.
Yeah. Well, he plays it because our other homie Wicked 381 plays.
Okay.
But with that being the case, waiting for the next expansion and then have it say, "No, we got to shut it down because we messed up somewhere mid-update. One of their computers turned off." You know how it says when it's doing an update, do not unplug this.
I very much know.
Somebody messed up.
They had a Carlos. Over there. It's like, I can turn this off, right? It's fine.
So I actually read up on this because I was not aware that this occurred until like yesterday. Yeah. Was that they were trying to do the update, and obviously it crashed in the middle of it, and the server that was actually doing that update completely broke, and they weren't able to do any type of updates or rewind it back to the previous season.
Yes, that was part of it. Yes, that was part. We can't even reset it to the last restore point. We can't bring it back to the last restore point.
But they shut it down for a minute, fixed a part of the problem, and they were able to rewind part of it, and they extended the current season that they had, and obviously they gave players an apology and actually gave them some free stuff, but as of now we still do not have a new date for this expansion drop. So season 11, wherever you are, we hope Godspeed.
It's awesome. Hey, please, we hope you find that restore point at some point, because otherwise it's gonna be rough, dude. Trust me, I've had and I'm not building a massively multiplayer world, Dalan, and my computer I don't have a restore point. I have to reset the whole thing. So imagine them having them like, we said a couple months delay. We're actually talking about a year or two before we kind of bring that.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case, but I think it's only going to be like a week or two, really. Okay, but that's the thing about some gaming companies. I know they actually have certain builds on separate servers, so that's not as much of an issue as you may say. I doubt it's going to be anywhere near a year, but maybe a week or two to try and rebuild.
Okay, we're going to find out a week or two.
They'll have to stress test it again, maybe a little bit longer.
Dalan, I think you have space in the background right there, Dalan. We're going to have to put a little timer of like Division 2 is still not updated. Division 2 is still not updated. Days, like when they do like days since an accident or since an injury or whatever, days since Destiny or Division 2 hasn't been updated. So we'll see. Next thing we have on here is, of course, Alan Wake 2 is, quote, playable from start to finish, end quote. That's according to Eurogamer. I'm pretty hyped, man. I liked the first one. It was kind of wacky. It was action, sort of, action horror. Action horror.
Yeah, it was a
horror game. I think it might be on Game Pass, Dalan, if you're interested. I believe it should be on there. If you've never played through it, it's pretty nice. But it's very Twin Peaks. I don't know if you like Twin Peaks. It's kind of Twin Peaks.
I have no problem with Twin Peaks. I just don't know if I want to go back and play Alan Wake.
It's kind of nice. But
I'm going to be totally honest. Like, I saw some trailers where I'm like, I tried to go back to, what was it? The Evil Within. I tried to go back and play with The Evil Within. I was like, man, this game is frustrating. I don't want to go through the frustration of this game.
It's a different company, different game right there, Dan. But Alan Wake 2
I understand that, but it's just the idea of trying to do it. I don't want the frustration.
Yeah, well, no, and I understand, like, maybe you're thinking because of horror game, but it really is, like, not as limiting as a lot of other horror games is. It really is more action. You got enough ammo, and you point a light at people, so it's nice.
You point a light
at the enemies, right? The next thing, and this one I'm super hyped for, man. I'm just ready for it. But Judas is the game from BioShock creator Ken Levine. They basically said this game will be out by March 2025. That's a couple years from now, but I guess that's giving us something, right? That's giving us hope that we'll see it soon enough. It looked incredible.
That's not soon. That's 2 years from now. I know it's not 2024 anymore, Carlos, but it's still 2 years from now.
I wish you were right on the 2024 though, because I could have used that.
We'd be that much closer.
So look, how about this, Dan? We're on what you've been playing now. Let me go first, just to kind of cut it up a little bit, and then I'll intro, of course, the post credits. We're gonna do a little Last of Us talk for episode 5, I believe, Endure and Survive. So stick around for that post credits if you guys want to hear our talk on that. But yeah, as far as my what you've been playing, Dan, I did play. I game tape solved Forspoken. The game, like I spoke on it before, the frame rates are terrible. It barely keeps up with the game. Not all the time. It's smooth from time to time. But yes, Dalan. Put your face in your hands, please, because it's very upsetting. By the time you get to the end of the game, those frames start getting super rough, man. Super rough. Like, it's like, and I have it on 120 hertz mode. I have like all the stuff that you think you would need to make it better, and it's not better. But I will say
the real question in regards to that game is, I know that you had the struggle in trying to get, you finally got your sword at some point. You got an actual physical melee
Halfway through the game, get a melee weapon. That's fine.
I assume that the pacing that you get these different types of magics are not great, but
it's rough.
Outside of the frame dropping, was the game at least okay? Is it worth a playthrough?
It was okay in the sense, like, you ran through a lot of your backlog, and you played all the new games, I guess, that you want to play. Maybe, potentially. It's just...
Damn.
It's just rough,
I'd rather play Deathloop before that.
Yeah, probably. Look, is Luis and Deo around? I would rather play Deathloop as well instead of Forspoken. And you know how much I don't like those arcane games, man. But yeah, Forspoken is, I can't say it's complete trash, because the story by the end of it, you're like, oh, that's what they're trying to say with the story. Okay, it's kind of sort of interesting, right?
It's but the dialogue, too woke for you.
Yeah, but not really, not necessarily. And I don't think it's necessarily a woke thing. I think it's very like female-driven kind of story, and I like it. I like it for that. Okay. But that's probably part of the thing that I like for it. But by the end of it, it's kind of like, okay, it's all right, decent story, but otherwise, I just didn't dig it too much, right? I didn't dig it too much. The other thing I did play is GoldenEye 007. I did get around to on the cheap, because I'm thinking, like, what am I gonna play next? But Harry Potter's is kind of waiting there for me, right? But GoldenEye 007, dude, it's not great. It's not great, but I still had fun kind of going through that first dam level, and just like, oh, this auto aim, this aimbot is beautiful. It's like I'm way like down the screen, and it's like it aims,
and it just
aims directly to the boss. So look, it's a nice little nostalgia trip, man, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get a chance to, but at some point I'm sure I'm gonna get my daughter and like, Lily, come here, come play this with me, little split screen dumb foolishness that we were playing with back in the day. But that's
the one big problem with playing on was it on the Nintendo Switch? Playing on the Nintendo Switch nowadays is the fact fact that you don't have the same type of controller. That's the real big issue. You could probably buy a digital controller, or at least a new one that you could plug into your Switch. But if you don't have that, you are dealing with the new controls. You don't have C buttons, my guy. You can't strafe like you used to.
Okay, dude. Well, I'm playing it on Xbox. It's on Game Pass. I'm playing it on Xbox, and you have dual stick. It's weird. It feels weird because it wasn't meant to have dual sticks controls, right? But it kind of sort of works. I'm gonna see how far I get into it, and I never really did play like in the hardest difficulties, so I'm sure I'll try to see if I can dedicate some time to that and go through the GoldenEye experience, because when I was a kid, I was like, I was still the same way. Critical Path, let me put it on a normal difficulty and let me get through it. But I hear you're playing something kind of interesting, Dylan. This past week, what have you been playing, man? You started up something.
Yes, I actually started up my file once again in Bayonetta. I actually got much further than I did the first time, because the first time I played Bayonetta, you start out in like obviously there's the whole weird clock tower entrance, like you're killing everything thing. They give you no inkling of how to fight. You're just there to survive. No context. Yeah. Well, there's context while you're fighting, and you can't pay attention to what they're saying.
Oh yeah, don't you love that? Don't you love that, dude? I remember when I started to feel like, okay, you're telling me something, but I gotta survive right now.
But after that, then you dropped into a graveyard, and wacky stuff goes down. And obviously you can't use more than 2 bullets in a gun. I don't know why that is, but immediately after that, I was like, you know what? I'm done with this game for right now, and I never went back until a couple of days ago.
Okay. Oh, that's what you remember from the original, right? From when you first played.
Yeah. So I did it again. Still the same opening breakdown, but I got like 2 stages in this time, and it actually does change a little bit as you go on. And really, it is Devil May Cry, except you have a nice time stop system.
Yeah,
it's Devil May Cry, but time stop.
Yeah, exactly. But are you digging it? You're digging it so far? You're gonna play through
it? I dug it the first time. I just never actually went back. I've been meaning to play it. Yeah. So now I could actually play it. I just loaded it up on my PS4. I'm playing the original copy, so there's no real censoring like the remastered version.
I don't think there is. I don't think that there's no censoring in any of the new ones. They have an option in the third one where you can toggle it. But there's no censoring in any of them, Dan. So feel free.
Okay.
So feel free to play the newest one.
I heard there was censoring, but I guess not. But that said, there's a lot of skin in the game for that game.
Yeah, they do a lot.
A lot of very promiscuous positions. There's so much happening in that game.
And you would think by 3 they kind of tamp it down, but it happens a little less. It happens a little less in 3. But it's still there, man. They're still keeping it extra wacky. So you'll beat it, right? It's not too long of a game, Dan. Maybe 7.5, 8 hours, depending on like how. Because even on normal difficulty, look, don't be afraid to get those shots at the gates of hell, or is it gates of hell, gates of heaven, whatever they call it.
Gates of hell.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get like the. There's a shot that you can get where you revive, you come back to life. If you kind of deplete your whole health bar. And also those green lollipops, make sure to grab this as well, man. Like, don't be scared, because at first I was like, no, I want the true experience. If I die, I die. It's like, but nah, man, F all that. Grab all the lollipops.
Pick it up.
Yeah, pick up the lollipops, grab the shots, and make it a little more accessible for you. Unless
I think probably the wackiest thing for me in that is that little mini shooting game that you have in the middle of every stage. That was the one thing where I was like, why am I doing this? I can't get enough points to actually purchase something on this list. Yeah. And I bet when I'm able to, I'm not going to win anything from that list. We'll just cash it in.
No, you can, but you have to be super precise, man. That thing is unforgiving, dude. That little mini game. And by the way, if you kind of like it or whatever, enjoy it while you have it, because it doesn't come up in the other games. They get rid of that. Little
good. Okay, did not need it.
But if it's unforgiving, but if you do it, Dalan, you got to be extra precise, and you do get enough money to buy some things. But is that it for Bayonetta, Dalan? Is that
that's it.
So that's what you've been
playing.
That's
Destiny.
There you go, Destiny.com. Damn, I gotta get some of these missions before the update comes out.
You're running out of time.
Look, that
13 days.
That is another episode of Salient Points. 101 episodes in, Dalan. Carlos Macias, the master of what was it? What did we say, Dalan?
I'm going to say it the way I meant to say it, Super Sentai.
Okay, the master of Super Sentai. I hope that's nothing weird, man.
Nah, that's the Japanese Power Rangers.
Okay. All right. And we got Dalan Kirkwood up in the mountains. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Yes.
All right. So that'll be the end of the Salient Points 101. Remember, stay after the post credits where we talk about The Last of Us, and we hope you got your special someone out there, some kind of Valentine's gift, because otherwise you're probably in trouble right now if you're listening to this right now.
You're gonna be fed to the clickers.
Oh, clickers.com. All right. Well, we're rolling into it. Salient Points. Yeah. No, this is not Salient Points. This is a mini scene tint special edition. As Luis told you last time, don't think about it too hard, man. All right, we're on episode. If it's episode 5, then this is episode 4 of the mini scene tint. I'm Carlos Macias. Thank you. The math checks out. Like Luis told you, don't think about it too much, Dalan. And Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining me for this, sir.
Thank you, Super Sentai.
Thank you. We did watch Last of Us. It was episode 5, Endure and Survive. Dalan, it's a pretty damn good episode, I feel. It was nice. There was a lot of action. There's deaths everywhere. Like there's deaths that you expect, and there's deaths that you also not necessarily expect. It's like, oh, you thought you would have seen these characters further, but I guess we're only gonna see them for a couple episodes, right? Especially that scene where we have so there's Kathleen. What's the other guy? There's Kathleen and there's the
her second right hand man.
Yeah, do you remember his name or not? We're doing good. We're doing a good job on the scene today already. But there's that scene where what's the boomer or whatever? What's the big zombie guy?
The bloated one.
He goes over to him and just grabs him and just rips his body, his head and his shoulder. Like it's not even a clean cut.
No, I don't think that was a bloater, because the bloaters are the ones. Oh no, I'm thinking about the spore one.
Yeah, no, it's a bloater. But that was not a clean cut, man. That was not a clean cut. That was as gross as like you kind of expect it to be. And that man got ripped apart. Kathleen also kind of got murdered by that little child. That eerily kind of looked like Joel's daughter, right? No? Am I wrong on this? Did she not have a little similarity?
I did not make that connection whatsoever as I saw it. Right. It was just the fact that they even had a child clicker in the show.
To the child clicker to what she looked like in the game, because not what she looked like in the show, right? That she looks a little different in the show. But other than that, it's we got to the ending of Sam and his brother's story, and we kind of like. It was the same. It was the same. Henry and Sam.
Henry and Sam.
Yeah, Henry and Sam.
Sorry, you say Sam, I'm immediately thinking about Joe's brother. I'm like, no, that's what we're talking about.
Who is Tommy? We're doing great this week, man. We need to have a list. And you're the love master. Look, hold on,
going off the rails for just a moment. No, I gotta say it before I forget. I was thinking about Uncharted for half a second because his brother's name is Sam. Same company made the damn game, all right?
The daughter's name's Sam, I think, isn't it?
No, I said Uncharted. His brother's name is Sam.
In Uncharted, the daughter's name is Sam, I think. In Uncharted.
No, the brother's name is Sam.
Let's not go down that path because for this, obviously we need a list of characters, man. We need like a what do you call it when you go to a play?
Roster.
Yeah, we need a roster for this. But anyway, so that story of Henry and Sam is, I was kind of, hey, how are they going to play this out, right? And it is a little different, but it's basically what you see in the game, right? Because he does get infected, and Henry's the one that has to take him out, and then he takes himself out, right? So it's similar in that way, but they did change up the fact that Sam is deaf in this game, and it just, I think it works so well that I didn't even really notice it. I didn't even really notice it, right? But Dylan, what are the biggest moments, or you can kind of like, what do you think about the deaf situation? I guess that they kind of changed it up that way. It was.
Well, okay, so for the death situation, it definitely made it more realistic in the setting that they've built for this TV series. Though, yes, people want it to be 1-to-1. I'm like, I'm fine with the way this went down. I think, but there were a few moments of inconsistency for me, and I'll get to that in a moment. I wanted to bring up a little point that we brought up last episode. Is I can't remember Kathleen.
Yeah.
I still didn't feel the murderous vibe from her. I could not feel it whatsoever.
You get it a little more this time. Just
you get it slightly. No, you get a sense of her overdoing it with grief. Like she wants her revenge. That is the only thing she wants. But I still don't see the ruthlessness anywhere in there. I see that she's only willing to really kill one person. That's who she really wants. She just wants Sam. She just wants Henry, and she wants them both dead. She didn't try and understand what happened to Brian, because Brian was killed by Joel and Ellie. That was just a thing that went down. Somebody obviously lied, but nobody came.
There's definitely little kind of holes in her character, right? She's not necessarily the most fully formed characters, and it's kind of like also like, man, what was the point of these characters? We could have kind of maybe gone down a different path or followed Joel a little bit more or something like that.
I didn't need her whole backstory while she was standing in her bedroom. I didn't need that at all. I couldn't feel it. That's what I really noticed.
So it's one of those things where she's presented like the last episode, and then with this one is like, I mean, you guys are trying. I mean, the biggest line she says right at one point, she's like, kids die all the time. Kids die all the time, right? It's like, oh, okay,
that was the one moment.
Rough. No, but even when she was talking to like the prisoners or whoever, that she goes like, well, you guys are collaborators, you deserve to die or whatever, and then kill them and burn them. It's faster. But I think it's just a little like, it's just not great. Her character, the guy's character is a little bit better, you know, her second in command, but mainly because he doesn't say as much, but you give her more to play with, and the more you kind of listen, it's like, right, I don't believe it. But what was the thing that you were gonna go to, Dalan? You said you're gonna kind of get to in a moment. Or what?
There was the moment for the sniper. Don't get me wrong, there was the moment where they first got there, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
And the whole little twist that the guy had his little ham radio and was calling people to actually come over there. Yeah. That felt nice. But immediately after that is when I had the problem. They had a whole squad standing right in front of them. They could have just shot them. Yeah. They could have just shot all of them. But no. Instead, they did a whole bunch of stuff of walking down the street, having a whole conversation. She could have just got her revenge. Obviously, she wanted to make sure she got the kid too. But they really weren't moving very well in their thought process. They really could have just ran to that house.
I don't know. I mean, look, she's the leader, right? She feels all this emotion, whether it's warranted, whether we believe her or not. But there's this whole moment where like she's the one that's gonna do it. So I don't know. I don't feel like it was like the pacing. No.
My real problem here was Ellie, Henry, and Sam, because they could have got to that house.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. But you know, there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on. They got the
explosion happened. Everybody turned around and started shooting at the clickers. They could have made a fast break even then, but they just sat there behind the car and watched it all go down. Like, no, why are you waiting for this? You see clickers and they're not looking at you. Run!
Look, I get all that, but like the way the scene played out, it wouldn't have played out as exciting, I feel, right? Because now you have them under the car.
They did something else.
They're under the car. Ellie has to get over there. She has to go run into a different car where she has to like, oh damn, I gotta get out of here now. So it's really like, it's kind of like, dude, imagine in that scene when all these things blow up like Emergence Day, some straight up Gears of War shit, right? Like they all popped out. Which, by the way, I guess they use all kinds of who did they use? They used the same like the running people from, damn, I forget. I gotta come back to it. But apparently they used people that the all movement type of stuff. It wasn't CG. It was real people running around, right? Like it was real like
extras.
It wasn't CG or anything like that, right? So it was
extras.
No, but that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the director that he's played with movement before from a different show. But they use real humans to kind of run around, which makes it even more spooky, right? But I mean, we can kind of, I don't know. I kind of want to go into the ending real quick a little bit more, but is there anything else, Dan, kind of leading up to what we see in the ending? Because there's a lot going on.
There was a moment before that, but I can't remember what.
Because it's definitely you're building up on that like relationship. You're sitting with it as far as
that was my problem. Is obviously there was the cut from the last episode to this episode, and I was wondering how it was going to go down, and he trusted Joel way too fast. He's just on an immediate trust train. So
I don't know. I didn't feel too bad on that. I think
I didn't feel too bad about it, but I felt it was too fast. There was no real build up to any type of relationship.
They got an hour. They only got 9 episodes. It's kind of like, I don't know, and I don't feel like it felt rushed necessarily. I mean, it's like, dude, you're holding a gun to someone, and then you're like, okay, we're gonna try to trust ourselves right now, right?
Hey, you know what I did actually really love about the episode was when they went to the children's safe haven underground. Like that whole area, I was like, man, this is like picture perfect compared to the game. That was one of those one-to-one moments that they had. And I was like, yes, I am super glad that they decided to throw this in here. Even though it was at a different spot than it was in the game, it was still an excellent moment to have in the game. And they took their breather. You got to see how another part of humanity tried to survive underground. But I'm wondering, did the clickers run through their area to get to the next section because they said they drove them all underground? I mean, I don't know what was happening. I was like, nothing's broken.
Well, and I at this point, I don't think we'll get like that. So there's definitely some holes, right? Some holes that they left behind that I don't think we'll ever get an answer to. But we'll get to the ending real quick. Then I think it was, to me, it was pretty damn powerful, man. I think you still get the final moments with Ellie and Sam, and they're playing together, right? And they have the little sketchbook that you erase and write on it. But it was kind of crazy, right? Because you're obviously coming to the moment. If you played the game, you know kind of what happens. He's gonna turn and he's gonna get killed by his brother, right? But even up to that point where he's like, wait, but are you a human? What, even when you turn or what? I was like, ooh, where's this going? And it's like, yep, he raised his pant leg, and you see the bite, and then Ellie, right, is kind of, you don't see this in the game, so this is a deviation, right? Or they kind of added this, right? But she's like, no, my blood is medicine, and she like, cuts her hand and like she rubs it on his like skin. It's a little gross, right? But it's kind of like tender in a weird sort of way, right? That's like, oh, she's
trying to save his life. She's actually trying to legit
save me, even though that's not how science works. It's not how any of it works, but it's still kind of like kids are trying to be, they're kids, right?
Hey, you say that, but we already have this whole situation of fungus taking over people within a matter of hours to days. So the idea that maybe your blood could counteract it quickly enough, especially if you know that you survived it, that by itself makes sense that she would even attempt to do that. And she's not a scientist. She's a 15-year-old girl or something like that.
They're kids being kids, right? But then you get to the scene where obviously he turns and she kind of like pulls him back a little bit, right? Or kind of looks at him. And then there's, of course, the scene where he's running across there in the living room. Henry, he's like, hey, no, you're not going to do it, Joe. You're not going to shoot him. He shoots him, right? Which is like, oh, damn, it's kind of a little powerful moment there. And then he's like, what'd I do? I've lost everything. I've lost my purpose, right? For like living. And, he shoots himself.
Not what do I do? What have I done?
What have I done? And then it turns into like, what happens now? Because he knows, right? They all know that that's what you had to do, right? So, but it was powerful, man. It was powerful knowing like what was gonna come up. I know me and my child were watching it, and we definitely had like little single tears, man, because it was like, oh, damn. Even though I knew that it had happened,
once again, this is why Ben Shapiro was wrong, because it's not about zombies, because they're not zombies. It's about the people.
Yeah, well, and that's what all these shows are. Even like The Walking Dead is that. But The Walking Dead was just like long in the tooth. By the way, we're still having more and more series. And to me, like you're beat down so much on it, right? Like it's like the monsters aren't the monsters. People are the monsters. Don't you get it? Like, and I'm like, you get beat down with it. Where it's like, I get it. It's not the zombies, right? But it's the same with this. But I don't know. For whatever reason, this is done well. I mean,
it's a little bit of both. The monsters are the monsters.
Yeah.
And people can also be monsters.
So,
but in this particular aspect, there's actually still people out there that want to help or want to survive with other people. Not everybody's ruthless. But nobody thinks anything through in this world, I can tell you that. They're just going to shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah. So it's rough in that way where I don't think the Walking Dead is, right? Like, The Walking Dead, there's a lot of these characters that are alive that shouldn't be alive. But in The Last of Us, but it also, like, is in the runtime, right? It's 9 episodes. It's based on a video game. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people dying out here. And it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough story.
I got another hole in my pocket for this episode. They're walking through the pitch dark. This man has no light to speak of whatsoever, and he's firing his sniper rifle at whoever comes down the street. What if it was one of his own people?
Hey, man, he knows. One of his own people would have told him. What if his own people would have told him?
Maybe.
But so, Dalan, so ended on that point. You went on a different diversion, right? But how'd you feel? How'd you feel about the ending, man? Was it emotional, even though you knew what was coming up? I suppose.
I obviously, for the people that play the game, we knew what was coming. But the most emotional part for it in my eyes was the part where Ellie was trying to save him. Like the moment she found out he got bit, he brought a lot of life to the moment itself, and you could actually feel the pain of knowing of what's coming next. And for most people, again, even if you didn't play the game, you're looking at this like, oh man, that kid's not going to survive. Even if Ellie tries, this kid's not going to survive. How much time does this kid have? Come morning, that was it.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's one of these. Hey, episode 5, I think was good. I think we're in the midst of it. We're kind of like we're down the home stretch, I suppose, in a way, right? Like I think more than halfway done at this point.
So but I'm like, where are they gonna stop though? Is it gonna be like? I'm wondering what the season finale is going to be. That's what.
Well, I think at least we'll get to the end of first game's ending. At least we'll get to that, and I think probably next we're gonna be in Wyoming.
I'm sorry, you said the first game's ending. We still have to find his brother Tommy.
That's probably in the next episode, Dalan. I'm assuming that these things have been. That's what I was gonna say, man. These episodes are really dense. They're pretty dense, and I hope whoever's watching them, right? Imagine for us, it's like we played this game. It was a nice 13, 14, 15-hour game, but people don't get this much content, I feel, in single episodes. And even though they kind of stretch this part of the story for 2 episodes, I feel like things are gonna ramp up quick, and we're gonna get to the end of the first game. But before we get out of here, Dalan, I'll give you the last word after this if you wish. But Samuel Gutierrez, he did leave a message on YouTube for us. He said this channel is awesome, so thank you very much for that, sir. We hope you come back, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Even though we fumbled up all the names, we need the cast of characters before we start recording out here. But
hey, man, you have nobody to raid me in. No one.
That's true.
You're on your own.
It's a problem. Do you have anything to say to this man, Dalan, on the interwebs?
Hey, man, thanks for being a patron. You subscribe, tell other people, bring them back.
There you go. Dalan, any final words on the episode? Don't give me something nice, something, not like another hole is the fact that when they went downstairs, that was a 3rd grade classroom, but it's really 2nd grade.
No. What I will give you is that even though there are some deviations from the show to the game, and obviously I said this at the very beginning, is that it's not going to be a 1-to-1. They're going to make their own way of telling the story, and so far they've done an excellent job of doing so. And it's one of the highest rated shows in America right now, and I hope that they continue this trend on.
And hopefully they were able to avoid the Super Bowl's blast radius enough to where that's
right. Oh yeah, they had to air it on Friday instead of Sunday. Nobody was going to pay attention to The Last of Us that day.
All right, well that was it. That's a Scented episode, a mini Scented for us. I'm Carlos Macias, Dalan Kirkwood from Kirkwood up in the mountains. Thank you very much, sir. Maybe next time you'll light up that Seisha in the bank, Dalan.
I'll work on it. Hey, I'm the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I'm here for the upset. But yeah, I'm gonna work for it.
All right,
I'll work on it.
See you guys later. Latest.